Okay, so this is going to be my 2026 Ultralight gear list. Here is my big three. First of all, my backpack. I've used this for a few years. I have no intention of replacing it. This is the Hyperlight Unbound 40. I absolutely love this pack. It has pockets everywhere, and it's one of the few packs where I can actually reach back and get into these pockets because it's a bit lower. I have like little T-Rex arms, so it's really hard for me to get back and reach into the pockets of many different packs. But this one, it sits low enough where I can, so if that's the same with you, it might be worth considering. It's a roll top. I find this is actually quite waterproof. Like, no pack is waterproof, but this, there's nothing but air in it, and it actually holds quite well. One of the useful features is on the bottom, there is a little bit of a pocket. So I put all my snacks in here, and then I can just grab these as I go. And then there's a little thumb port where you can put rubbish in. This is pretty useful, actually. The front pocket is like a Dyneema stretch mesh. You can overload it quite a lot, but not as much as I would assume with some other packs. And then on the back, I've got a water bottle pocket for my, I think it's a Cat9 B3. And then I've got a shoulder pocket for my phone and maps and that sort of stuff. I really enjoy this pack. My mate's got one as well, which I'll show you as well. But yeah, highly recommend the Hyperlight packs. Just don't put more than, say, 12, 13 kilos into it. That's when it starts getting quite uncomfortable because there's no load lifters here, and there's only one metal stay. So it's quite lightweight, so it's good for your ultralight camping, but for when you're actually hauling a lot of stuff or heaps of food or whatever, I'd recommend going with a fully framed pack instead of this. So the second of the big three is my new tent. This is the Lightweight Illusion One Person. It is a sill poly tent. It is single wall with a mesh vestibule, so when you're inside, no bugs get in, but it's still quite lightweight at about 680 grams. I seam sealed this myself. It rained, and I got wet because I didn't seam seal it properly, but if you do it properly and test it, I'm sure it'll be fine. I really enjoy this tent actually, but it is a bit of a pain to set up, and that's mainly because this pole doesn't go vertical. It goes at like a bit of an angle. It's not quite 45 degrees, but it does go at a bit of an angle. Now, when you do set this tent up correctly, there's a lot of room inside. Not a lot of headroom, but lots of floor space because this pulls out and it takes up a bit of the vestibule, but you still have heaps of room inside. But because of that kind of slanted pole design, it can be a bit tricky to set up. So I'd recommend setting it up a few times just to get the hang of it. I did it by doing the back corners, pulling this, and then doing this ridge line, and that way it created a bit of a triangle, and then you can set up everything else secondary after that. I really like this tent. It's really cool. It's a bit unique, a bit funky. It's black, which is kind of stealthy. I think it looks sick. Yeah, I'm excited to use this in 2026. All right, here we are in the tent. This is my sleep system. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that I am a big fan of One Planet and their sleeping bags. So this is the One Planet Sonder. I've got this with 850 fill down, and I think it's good to about -5 if you're a warm sleeper, about 0 degrees if you're a cold sleeper. So it just kind of depends on what kind of clothes you're wearing and how warm you are at night. I find that this is good to 0 degrees. I don't take it, and if I'm going any colder than 0, I'll take a different sleeping bag, but this is really good for summer. This is really good for anything, yeah, above 0 degrees. This is my Cedar Summit Eros Deluxe pillow. I'll always take a pillow. I actually take two. One's my stuff sack pillow, which I'll show you later, but this one is super comfortable. And then the sleeping pad that I'm using, this is the Thermarest Uberlight in the regular. It weighs 250 grams. It is stupid light, but it's very, very comfortable. I deflate it to about 75, 60%. It's raining again. And it's just so comfortable. It is so light. even on like fast packing journeys where I'm trying to take literally the least amount possible, this will still make it into the pack just because it is so light and it provides so much comfort. I'll put on the screen how much the sleeping bag and everything weighs, but I think this is about 750 grams as well. As you can see in the tent, there's quite a lot of room because of this slanted pole. There's a stake out here as well, so it pulls out to kind of like this hexagon shape. So there's quite a lot of space here, but there's not heaps of headroom. So the walls on either side do come in quite a bit, so I had to make sure that my sleeping bag and head wasn't touching the ends. But there's heaps of room here to put all your stuff and just sit up and be a bit organized. There's 2 pockets here, which is really nice. There's vents on either side. There's just so much condensation because it rained all night, but that's just part of the game, isn't it? I think this is a pretty cool tent. Once I seam seal this properly, I'm going to really enjoy using this and being quite cozy. There's also a little pocket on the side here for the trekking pole to go into the actual tent and go right up into the top pocket. So it is a little tricky to set up, admittedly, but once you get the hang of it, I think I'm still getting the hang of it, but once I get the hang of it, I think it'll be pretty quick and easy to set up. I really like these Hyperlight side entry pods. This is a 10-litre one, and I'll put my sleeping bag and my pillow in here. And I think this is the reason why I'm so organized and why everything just fits so well inside the backpack, is because they're cut to the exact dimensions of the backpack. So everything just slides in perfectly. There's no wasted space. Everything's quite organized. And I don't think this is 100% waterproof, but it's water resistant enough with the backpack where I don't have to worry about anything getting wet. And then just as a side note, I've got my head torch in here. This is a little Montbell light diffuser. It weighs 7 grams, and this is really useful for at night. Usually I'll just leave this attached to the tent, and then when I come in at night, I'll just put the head torch in here, and this makes a really nice little lantern. Super useful. Just as a side note, this is who I go hiking with.
Hey.
Tom's sleeping bag exploded in the middle of the night.
Yeah, look at this. And then you put the smallest amount of pressure on it, and then it just goes everywhere. I need to borrow some of the duct tape you've got around your toothbrush.
How did this happen, Tom?
I got a jam. It doesn't have one of the rip, what do you call it? The attach prevention, the lock prevention.
Yeah.
With the zips. So it's just ripped a hole in here, and then I felt like I was sleeping in a snow globe.
You must have been so busting for the toilet if you opened the sleeping bag with that amount of force.
Man, I don't want to talk about it. Dinner was rough.
But that's not even it. Like, you would think that's the only thing that Tom broke, but he broke the zipper on his sleeping bag, and then he was like, I gotta go to the toilet. And, and he ripped his tent as well. Just...
Dude,
Did you have diarrhea? What did you do, man?
I woke up and I was like emoting. I was like, I was so upset. I was like, no, I broke it.
Okay, so let's go through everything else that I brought, and then while I go through everything, I'm going to show you how I pack my bag and some tips and tricks. So the very first tip that I'm going to show you is just to go through and make sure that your friend hasn't put any rocks in your bag. This is a really easy way to lighten your pack. These things are heavy as. Now, the only reason Tom put this in my bag was to balance out the other rock he put in my bag. So, I mean, let's get into it. So the thing at the very bottom of my bag is my sleeping bag. You can see it's in the Hyperlight pod, and it's cut to the exact shape of the backpack, which is really nice. Cool. Put that off to the side. Maybe I'll put it here. Cool. All right, the next thing that goes in my bag is all my clothing, so let's go through that. It sits in this Hyperlight pillow stuff sack. It's like a felt, it's a felt or some sort of soft material. And then when you're stuffing it, it goes inside out, or the right way round. So I've moved away from merino. I don't really like carrying too much merino with me, especially in summer. I'll wear more merino in winter when it's more important to stay warm, but generally what I'm doing is moving to synthetic. I know it's a little bit more stinky, but it holds about 1.5 to 3% of its weight in moisture, while merino is up to like 30%, and it just takes so much longer to dry. So my base layer, actually, what I'm wearing first is the Arc'teryx Cormac hoodie. It is stained to poop because of all the mud from the South Coast track, and I'm wearing the Patagonia Terrebone joggers, which are pretty cool. The first base layer that I've got is the Brignet mesh one. I think this is the Super Thermo. It looks questionable, I know. I'm not going to show you myself wearing it, but this actually works really well as a base layer. It's synthetic, so it carries moisture, it picks it up and then moves it away from your body. Instead of merino, which just absorbs it and lets it sit there and you feel kind of icky after climbing a hill, this picks it up and then moves it to your next layer, which is usually either my my hoodie or my fleece. The reason the mesh base layer works so well is it's just super breathable. So everything that I have for clothing is based on breathability. I think that's the aim of the game here. You're really trying to get your moisture management set up. So I can really easily get airflow through all of this, but then it'll carry your moisture away from your body. So highly recommend these base layers. Then I've got this Senchi Alpha 60 fleece. Alpha Direct is probably the way to go for fleeces. They're really breathable as well, but they're so light and they actually keep you really warm. The only time it doesn't keep you warm is when there's a breeze, but I'll show you how to manage that as well. Then in terms of insulation, this is the Montbell Plasma 1000. This is ridiculous. It is 1000 fill power duck down or goose down, and then a 7 denier ripstop. So it is the lightest weight puffer jacket that you can get. With everything that I've mentioned, I can go down to about 0 - 5 degrees with this setup, which is amazing. This is only for static use at camp. Now, this is my rain jacket. I've opted for, when I'm below tree line and not in alpine conditions, I'm going for a non-breathable rain jacket. So this is Light Heart gear. This is a silicone-coated ripstop. It's the same material that you would have for your tent. It's got humongous pit zips. So I'm doing mechanical venting over like Gore-Tex, because I don't really think Gore-Tex or anything like that is going to work too well when it's raining and your rain jacket's just covered in water. You're not going to get any sort of breathability there. I will use Gore-Tex for alpine conditions and stuff like that though. And then in here somewhere, a little rain skirt, which is pretty cool. So this will normally just sit on the top of my pack, but I'll chuck it there for now. I wear this 95% of the time instead of my rain jacket. This is a wind shell. It is quite breathable, but it does stop most of the wind. So I'll put this over the top of my Senchi, over the top of this, and it'll stop all of the wind, but still allow some airflow to come through so that you're not overheating and getting really sweaty. You don't want zero airflow, because that's just how you're going to get really sweaty, and then you'll get cold and then you'll have trouble. So I wear this 95% of the time unless it's actually raining. I have synthetic synthetic toe socks by Injinji. Synthetic for toe socks will work well because, once again, they'll suck the moisture out, push them to the next layer instead of merino, which will just hold on to that moisture, and then you'll get lots of blisters. And then I don't know what socks these are. I don't know the brand, but they're just synthetic socks that will go over, and then once again, hold on to very little moisture, dry very, very fast. The only merino things that I have is my underwear and a buff. I think that's enough. And then for camp, I'll have some very light, these are like 18 grams, Alpha Direct socks by Farpoint. These are so cozy. And then I'll probably swap out of these Terrebone joggers and hike in these Nike runners. So all that just zips into this Hyperlight stuff sack, and that'll be the second thing that goes in here. So we'll go through cooking next. This is mine and this is Tom's, just to show you two different ways of boiling your water, which is essentially all you're doing. So first of all, I've just got a 750 milliliter pot with just a lid. And then I've got a little cup here. I forget how much mils it holds, but I sandwich it in between this cloth, which is really useful as well. It stops the rattling mostly. And then I've got so many goodies in here. First of all, my stove of choice is the Soto Amicus. It's got a piezo igniter. It works really well. No complaints. It's semi-wind resistant, but I don't know how wind resistant any of these little canister stoves are going to be. I've got the absolute smallest knife ever, because all I'm doing is cutting open packets with this. I'm not doing anything crazy, so it works well. I just found the smallest knife possible as a joke, and it turned out to be actually useful. Always carry a Bic lighter just in case. This is super useful. Use it for leeches a lot too, actually. And a little pot gripper, which works well. And then I made my own out of a car visor, just a little koozie for holding my coffee because it gets hot. So that's what I'm using. Tom is even more ultralight than me. He's got a 550ml titanium pot, and everything fits in here. So he's got his cloth as well. He's got the good old unreliable, the BRS 2000, something like that. It's ridiculously light. It costs like $12 Australian. It works really well, especially if all you're doing is boiling water. He's got his little Bic in there as well, and he actually fits his fuel can in there. My fuel can's just in here with all my food. Look at the size difference. Like, this would be 50, 100 grams more than this, and they both do the exact same thing. I think this one is a little bit more efficient, a little bit more wind resistant, but if you're in perfect conditions in summer, you can get away with this, and it's like a fraction of the cost as well. Okay, so this is all of my small items, random electronics, anything that could just randomly get lost. I just put in this one little bag. So first of all, this bag is from Orb Ultralight. It's a DCF 1.2 litre bag. Inside, I've got my phone just charging. This little pouch is again from Orb Ultralight. It holds a bunch of cables, and it also holds my 10,000 milliamp hour Nightcore battery pack. This thing is stupid light. It's carbon fiber, which is overkill, but it works well. So I keep everything in here. It's just charging my phone at the moment. My Garmin InReach, didn't really need it for this trip, but I have it. I actually think these are overkill for most people, unless you're doing like a crazy adventure where you are going to be away for a long time and you're going to have no reception or whatever, then go for it. But I reckon these are just so overpriced. I bought it secondhand, which helped a bit, but just a subscription, and if you go over with your text messaging, it's going to rack up fast. So honestly, I think the best bet will be just get one where you press the button and you're good, and then use an iPhone that has the satellite text messages. That's just, I didn't realize it could do that. My friend was just texting unlimited satellite messages on the South Coast track, and here I am going, if I go over it, 65 cents per message. Like, this is, unless you're climbing Everest or you're away for a really long time, I would steer clear of these things. yeah, I'm gonna probably sell this. This is my little 7-gram Montbell light diffuser. I put my torch in here and it diffuses the light in my tent. Super cool. It also just acts as a cool little stuff sack. I really like this thing. Flex tail pump. This weighs 100 grams. It pumps up my mat as well, which is over there, and also acts as a light. This is a luxury item. I didn't take it on like a lot of long trails, but just for a quick, easy trail, it's a nice little thing to have. Definitely not essential. It's quite nice to have though. And then I always carry these little, like, they look like tablets. I won't give you a demonstration, but you just add water to them and they turn into a nice little cloth. Good for any spills or anything. I should have probably used it when my tent leaked, but I was half asleep and forgot I had it. And that's all of my electronics, just super basic, super easy, everything I need. Yeah. So next we have first aid. I've split my first aid kit into 2 separate items. First of all, this big one is like first aid, and this is like second first aid. So this will kind of live in my pack. It's stuff that I won't need for emergencies, while this is. So if we have a look, I've got heaps of band-aids. I got a snake bite kit in there as well. I have wound wipes and stuff like that. I've got, this stuff's amazing, betadine. Anytime you get like a cut, you just put it on and then put your band-aid over it, and that'll stop any sort of infections. And then because we're in Australia, we will get lots of venomous snakes, so always carry your snake bite kit. Have it very readily accessible, and also make sure you read on what to do in case you get bit. Don't frantically read the instructions at the time. So always carry snake bite kit in summer. And then all this other stuff is just random stuff that I'll probably need if I get like some sort of injury on trail. And that's just really easy to find. Secondly, in my second aid kit, I have other things that aren't as essential. So I've got like a little repair kit. I got this from Muji for like a couple bucks. It's got thread and stuff like that. I got like Panadol and hay fever tablets. I got a chapstick, a small little head net for bugs, some more of these wet wipe things, some plastic bags. So I always forget a bin bag, so I always put one of these in here for whenever I forget. I got a random stuff. I got Stingos for when I get bit by mosquitoes, some emergency matches. My God, I got so much stuff in here. Aqua tabs for when my B3 inevitably clogs and I can't use it. A spare Bic, spare sunscreen just in case. And then I've got some repair kits as well. So like a Dyneema patch for my tent, some alcohol wipes, Thermarest, instant field repair, just some stuff. So I don't need any of this stuff immediately on trail. That's what my other thing's for. But this is other stuff that I might need when I'm in camp or it's not as big of an emergency. Okay, so we're nearly at the end. Just a couple last things. This is my water bottle, 1.5 litre soft flask, 500 ml soft flask, and a Katadyn B3. They all have the 38 millimeter lid, so all the different lids are interchangeable. The Katadyn is cool, but I find that it's clogging a lot and I'm struggling to clean it out. So I don't know if I'd recommend this, but it is really cool when you first get it and it just like works so fast, but I'm not sure that I'd recommend it just because, yeah, it's clogging up on me and it's annoying. Always carry sunscreen. And then in here is just like hygiene and poop kit. So the best cloth I've ever used is one that I just took from the kitchen. It's like a random microfiber one. It works so well. A little toothbrush, deuce of spades trowel, I've got some powdered soap, which works really well. I like this stuff. Some moisturizer in a little container, hand sanitizer, and I'm a big fan of the Cedar Summit Wilderness wipes. These things are luxury. And everything fits in here, and of course I've got some more of these little towels. Dude, you gotta have towels.
You've just got so many towels.
So many towels.
Like
well, you never know.
You open a pack, it's full of towels.
You never know, because you could spill anything anywhere and you'll need a towel. And you run out of this. Could you imagine anything worse?
Yeah.
You run out of these.
I didn't even bring them, actually.
Well, you're insane. So that's what I carry in here.
This is ultralight.
And then everything still weighs 5.5 kilos.
5.5 kilos?
5.5 kilos.
You haven't mentioned weight too much so far.
Yeah, I'll put my lighter pack at the bottom, but 5.5 kilos is the weight.
That's pretty good. How much with the rocks in it?
12.7.
12.7.
We weighed before 12.7.
12.2.
Okay, so last couple items that's in my pack. First of all, steaks. I've got a couple different steaks here. I've got these Mont Dart titanium steaks. These weigh 5 grams each. And then for summer, I'm trying out these Mont Bora titanium steaks, which are 15 grams each. I'm hoping that these will work quite well in the hard ground. You can just bang them in and then they will stay there. I've tried those like Y steaks in the ground and then got them so stuck I had to dig them out. So I'm hoping that these will be a little bit better in the hard ground. Secondly, I've got this ground sheet. It is 1.1 by 2.2 meters. It is made of DCF. It weighs a staggering 80 grams. 80 grams. I take this everywhere. I'll just use it as a seat. I use it for everything basically. It's really, really useful. Highly recommend some sort of ground sheet. You can use Tyvek or Polycro, but DCF works quite well. Now, one of the biggest reasons to go ultralight is for two big reasons actually. The first is so that you can take as much food and as many snacks as you want. I really like this option where your pack weighs about the same as your mate who's not ultralight, but that's because you have about 50 Snicker bars in your pack instead of a bunch of heavy gear. The second option is so that you can bring a bunch of luxury stuff. So I brought an entire Coke bottle with me on this trip. I brought a thermocell and some DEET for all of the bugs. I even brought a tarp, which you can see here. This was super useful for when it rained. Just a bunch of luxury gear. You can bring a chair, you can bring literally whatever you want, and it won't weigh you down because everything else is so light. So that's what I did on this trip. I brought a bunch of, well, not too many, but some luxury items, and that just really helps make a little trip much more enjoyable. Finally, the last thing is your trekking pole. I only have one, my mate uses two, it doesn't really matter, but these are the Compadel trekking poles. They weigh 200 grams, they're not the lightest, but this is 2-part carbon fiber, and then the very bottom is made of, I think it's aluminium or some sort of metal. So that way they're going to be more durable because this bottom part is the most likely to fail. So this will kind of bend or get dinged up, while these two parts help with the weight quite a bit. They extend out to 140 centimeters. So whatever trekking pole tent you get, this will accommodate quite well. And that's everything. This is a 5.5 kilo ultralight summer setup. It's been a good few years in the making where you kind of just swap out gear, see what works, see what doesn't work. Slowly over a few years you will lighten your pack, and this is what I've ended up with. I'm not sure what I will change, if anything. This is pretty refined at this stage. So yeah. Hope you enjoyed this gear review. I will see you in the next one.